As Clearly College Park for the City of College Park. At this time, my name is Jamel McKenzie. It is 6:31, and at this time, I'm calling the meeting to order. And we'd like to begin by having each of our board members introduce themselves and then we will hear from city staff. And after that, we also welcome our guests as well.
Good evening, City of College Park. My name is Celissa Jefferson. I'm your Vice Chair representing Ward 4.
Hi, I'm Leslie Zen. I'm the Secretary Treasurer and I'm BIDA at large.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa Parker, BIDA board member.
Good evening, I'm Ambrose Clay, Councilman Ward 1. I'm here as a guest. Me?
Good evening, I'm Ken Howland, Mayor Pro Tem.
Bianca Motley Broom, Mayor.
Darnetta Titus, City Manager for College Park.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mercedes Miller, the Executive Director for the fabulous Georgia International Religious Center, the Gateway Arena at College Park, and the College Park Municipal Golf Course.
Arnie Jones, Executive Director, Cleveland College Park.
Sabrina Beasley, Administrative Assistant, Economic Development, and the Assistant Secretary Treasurer of BIDA.
Okay, and then we invite our guests to introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'm John Anderson with Tri-Cities Building and Land. We have an item fairly far down the agenda, so we'll be able to let John actually.
And thank you for coming.
Hello, I am Maudushi Majid. I am an intern working for John at Tri-City Building. Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm Alicia Houston, resident in Ward 1 and broker for the Tri-Cities Building and Land.
Hi, I'm Max Bender. I'm with Town Village LLC, and I'm working with John and Tri-Cities.
And hi, my name is Mallory. I am an emerging developer, also working with Tri-Cities Building and Land, and just happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Jolandra Taylor. I work for Ignite Resource Center and the Executive Assistant to Jamel McKenzie.
Thank you. Welcome. All right, everyone.
Wait, John.
Oh, John. Sorry, John.
John Duke, College Park resident.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming out tonight.
Dan Lee.
Oh, Dan Lee, sorry.
I apologize, I'm the late attorney for BIDA. It took me an hour and 40 minutes to get from Sandy Springs to it's brutal out there. But I think it's good news, everybody's back to normal. Right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Apologize for being late.
Absolutely, but thank you again. We're glad you made it safe. And so at this time, we're going to move on to item 2, which is the review and the approval of the meetings from our March 10th, 2022 BIDA board meeting. At this time, if there are any adjustments, revisions, any changes to the minutes or anything that we need to discuss before we can make a motion to adopt these minutes, please let it be known.
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a question. I do have a question. Okay. The only thing that is missing from the minutes as we have printed is the letter that was read by Attorney Lee. So I am requesting that that letter be included with the official minutes. Okay. And so are there any other? If not, we'll go back to this move. Do you still move?
Yes.
Okay. And seconded by our mayor. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And that is unanimous. So the minutes are adopted, and they will include the letter from the attorney that was read by Attorney Lee at the end of the meeting. All right, item 3, additions, deletions, amendments, or changes to the agenda. Do we have any at this time?
One item.
All righty.
And a listing agreement for Keller Williams commercial. And I'd like to add it in item 4B.
4B.
Under new business.
And what was that again?
Keller Williams listing agreement.
All righty. Is there a motion on the floor that we add item B to new business?
So moved. I'll second.
Seconded by And those in favor, please raise your hands. Actually, that really helped me out today. Okay. All right, thank you so much. And it is carried unanimously. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to move right on to agenda item number 4, which is new business. And the item A for new business is the T-Splosh revenue bond. And I know that we do have Ed Wall here to kind of discuss that. And I don't know, Artie, are you going to get the discussion started on this, or how do we go?
Let it take over.
Okay.
You're up. Ed Wall.
Yes, sir.
You're up.
I can't hear you.
And we can barely hear him.
Can you, hold on one minute.
City manager ties, did you want to? Did you want to begin it while we? Is there anything that you wanted to add? Because I know that you.
Yeah,
can't be here.
I can.
Would you like to just kind of share some of the background? with us?
I absolutely can. Good evening, everybody. I am Darnetta Tyus, City Manager for College Park. Said that earlier. Thank you for considering this item. As Ed Walls is going to get into the details of it, but what this particular item will do it will allow us to move forward on a couple of two main items directly tied to the 6 West project, which is the Road Street Bridge, as well as the Pedestrian Bridge. And then the third portion of that is going to allow us to be able to do some additional streetscaping, and there's an illumination associated with various parts of the city. So 3 major components to it, and we're excited about it because it's going to allow us to move forward in a very healthy way.
Ed, can you hear us now? We see you. Can you hear us, Ed? Is there any way that the sound of
Just a minute, Ed, he's adjusting.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Both three.
Both three. I heard that. Both three. I heard that.
Can we turn off one?
Which device over there?
Terrible echo.
Well, you were pretty clear then, Ed. Say something else.
Give him a little bit of audio there. Give him a little bit of audio over there, Art.
Over here?
Yeah. Hey, can you hear us now?
Y'all hear me? Alright, volume over here. We could hear him here.
Okay, try saying something to him now.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
A
Yes.
little bit louder, yeah, that's fine.
All right, great. Madam Chair, you want me to start talking?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you all for your indulgence. My daughter's here from Denver, Colorado for Easter. I asked if I could join by Zoom instead of in person, because I only get to see her twice a year. What I want to talk to you about is a bond issue for BIDA to issue for the city for T-Splosh projects. All of you all are familiar with the Road Street project that we had. And we decided to fund the Road Street project from Camp Creek into 6 West with all cash money. And we had $7.7 million in the T-Splosh 1 account. And we needed $3.9 million in order to fund it. And we talked about various ways to do it. And when last November, we decided to take the first month's collections from the T-Splosh 2 and use it to fund Road Street all in cash and not have any additional debt. Can you all hear me okay still?
Yes, sir.
And so, all right, great. So we needed $3.9 million to go to that $7.7 million to fund Road Street. Jackson Myers bid out the Pedestrian Bridge about a year ago. The lowest bid he got was $18 million. And he only had $9 million in grants from the ARC. So the city did nothing. Jackson rebid it and got bids in back in March. And the lowest bid was C.W. Matthews, who was the winning bidder on the Road Street project for about $13 million and change. Together with the soft cost, it makes the total cost for the Pedestrian Bridge project $14.9 million. Jackson went back to the well. David Scott really worked in hand with the city, particular Mayor Broom, and I think in the meeting was Councilman Karn and Councilman Clay, and Congressman Scott picked up the phone and called the ARC guys and said, could they give us grant money? And so we got $9.7 million original grant money. Once we got that lower bid of $14 million, Jackson picked up the phone and worked hard to get the ARC to give us another $1.5 million. And so in order to fund the pedestrian bridge over Camp Creek Parkway between the GICC property and 6 West, we needed to have another $3.7 million of city cash match in order to get those grants. The only place to really get it was T-Splosh. And we were using the first month's collection of T-Splosh for Road Street. So Ms. Darnetta convened a meeting of staff to talk about what are our options. And in that meeting, we came up with the idea of doing a bond issue to front the construction of both Road Street and the pedestrian bridge. The T-Splosh is be levied for 5 years, 60 months, and it averages $200,000 a month in collections. So $200,000 a month times 60 months is $12 million. So when we were talking about it, and Ms. Darnetta reached out and talked to members of council about it, nobody on council wanted to take all of the T-Splosh collections and only do projects in 6 West. They wanted to do projects around the other areas of the city as well. And so we decided as a team to add another $3 million to the bond issue as a third project for citywide transportation projects. And so we're asking BIDA to approve a bond issue of approximately $11 million. It has 3 projects to it. $3.9 million for the funding for the Road Street project, $3.7 million for the funding for the Pedestrian Bridge project, and $3 million for citywide project. There will be a 5-year bond issue payable from the T-Splosh of $200,000 a month. I'm open for questions, Madam Chair.
All right. Board?
So I have a question. What was the total amount of the T-Splosh okay. What was the total amount of the T-Splosh, as well as what are all of the components when it comes to Road Street, and how will it be utilized within 6 West?
So, the Road Street project comes in from Camp Creek Parkway, goes all the way up to Princeton, which is where the 55 acres for the residential property was. It includes a bridge over the tributary of Camp Creek right there for cars to get over that bridge, a roundabout. I can't remember the name of the road that has the roundabout, and it includes streetscape and landscaping on both sides. And so the bid price for the actual construction of the road was $9 million and change. The rest of the project, so $11,630,000. I sent out early this morning, and I think Sabrina sent it to all of y'all, a detailed budget of what makes up that $11.6 million. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, somewhat. What was the total amount of the T-Splosh?
12 million.
12 million, okay.
The total amount is 12 million. The total amount of T-Splosh is 12 million. The amount of the T-Splosh 1 that was levied for 5 years, you know, the T-Splosh is 0.75%, and it's levied countywide in Fulton County. And Fulton shares it with the cities based on population. Our share of the T-Splosh 1, we have 7.7 million of cash sitting in the T-Splosh 1 account, and that T-Splosh 1 expires after being levied for 5 years on March 31. This April 1st, T-Splosh 2 starts for 5 years. It's $200,000 a month, or 60 months, or 5 years. That's 12 million. We're taking 3.9 million of T-Splosh 2 for the Rose Street project.
How long will the Rose Street project take to be built?
So I've seen charts from BDR, Jesse Frazier, and Jackson that it'll be fully built in May of next year, I think it is.
And does it have to be fully built for development to take place in 6 West?
We have 2 projects that require Road Street to be under construction or to be built. One was the residential piece for $8 million. They required us to have that road under progress funded before they would close. The other one was Project Jupiter, which is a big hotel for $3.5 million. They required the road to have been open and for, be finished, and then their contract caused them to close 60 days after that. So there are only 2 projects that actually require Road Street to be done. But all the experts say that street will unlock the 330 acres for more people to want to buy it in there because they have access to Camp Creek.
And regarding the pedestrian bridge, how long will that one take?
I think he said.
Is Jackson in attendance, Mr. Arnetta?
It's 15 months.
15 months?
Yes.
And is that, so like we're gonna have a pedestrian bridge, but there'll be nothing on the other side in 15 months, is that correct? So why could we not delay that one further?
Yeah, one of the reasons for not delaying it now is the escalating cost of steel. We are running to put our order in while the price is stable and we have a semi-guarantee right now. We wait later, there's no telling what that cost will be. So it's a cost containment measure right now.
And also, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
And also, if we have all the funding in place right now. Okay, hear myself.
Yeah.
If we have all the funding in place right now, and we put in the order, it will be 6 to 9 months before the materials for the bridge would actually come in. So it will be 15 to 18 months from that time to actually have it built out.
Artie, isn't it also true that we run the risk of losing the grant that we have gotten for it?
Yes.
We do that, and it was a tighter grant, and that was hard to get.
Yes, the ARC gave us $10 million, and we take the risk of losing that money if we don't use it.
So there's $10 million from ARC, and why don't we use that money instead of getting a bond?
We are. That's a portion of it.
It's a portion.
The entire bridge, I believe, is like $15 million. We have 10 already. Jackson went back to the ARC 2 additional times, got $3 additional million, and this is $3 additional million from the T-Splosh. So that's 3. There's a lot of funding that's coming from different times, and if we don't use the funding, we're going to lose the initial $10 million and, of course, the subsequent additional money that ARC provided us.
Any other questions from the board?
I understand, I think the biggest concern is no one likes to have to take on debt. We don't want to take on more debt, but the project itself appears to me to be something that's necessary, and there's a lot of variables that we have to look at. My biggest concern is, you said the $3.9 million will come from the T-Splosh 2? Is that where the payback? How are we gonna, in terms of paying this loan that we're gonna take out, what's the plan for paying back the loan?
It's all T-SPLOS 2. So T-SPLOS 2 is $12 million.
Okay.
This, what we're asking you for today will be 100% paid back, through T-SPLOS.
Okay.
And we did not ask for all of it, so including the debt service, the 11.5 includes the debt service on the 10 million that we're asking for, which still leaves us $500,000 left in T-SPLOS.
And how much is the debt service to do this?
So how much of this is debt service? About 90-something thousand. This is in there.
What?
Ed, they're asking for, I think the number's about 98. And Ed can get that exact number. But it's also contained within our payback. So we're covering the debt service as well with this particular bond issue.
The debt service for the first year is $203,343. Second year, $2.3 million. The third year, $2.3 million, $2.3 million, $2.3 million, $2.3 million.
And the total of.
But I'm saying, what is the cost?
The cost.
The cost of borrowing the money. What
Yeah.
are we taking on as a city additionally?
Interest is $894,781.
That's what we're saying.
And then the fees to do the deal.
Ed would have to answer that.
Ed, they're asking for the total amount of the interest on the bond, which is the cost of the bond. What is that number?
You're asking what the interest paid or the cost of it?
The total interest paid.
They want both.
The fees, I guess, the total fees.
Two numbers. It's two numbers, Ed. Go ahead.
I got it. We borrowed $10,845,000 principal over a 5-year period. The interest payback is $894,000. I'm assuming the interest rate is 2.5%. And the cost of issuance, I assumed at 2%, $216,000.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but
Guys, if you look at your packet,
It's in there.
on page, if you look at page 17, please look at page 17 of your package.
No, that's not what I'm asking. So when you issue bonds, you have a bond issuance fee.
Oh,
Okay,
that's why I said Ed has to ask. I thought you
Right,
also
and
asked
I
about
can't.
I thought he said 2%.
Well, 2% is not a number. What is the number?
Oh, the number.
15 total debt service.
Come on, close.
Yeah, that's.
Cost of issuance is $216,900.
15%.
2%.
Hey.
Okay. So basically, we just have to determine basically the board is being asked whether we will approve for this city to move forward with the issuance of this loan, I guess, isn't it? Okay. So are there any other questions before we ask for a motion?
Well, I don't have a question, but I do have a statement. No, I do have a question.
Okay.
What was the catalyst for this? Why did this occur? What happened?
Let me.
So this is
Let me try to.
the Rose Street. You want me to talk and turn it, or you want to do it?
Why don't you start and then I'll fill in.
Yes, ma'am. So we were planning on spending all cash just for Rose Street. And when the pedestrian bridge came in at a lower price, $4 million lower, from 18 million to 14 million, and we had this almost $11 million from the ARC as grant money, we would lose this grant money if we didn't do the pedestrian bridge. So the catalyst of wanting to do the bond issue was to take advantage of this $10.5 million free money and get the pedestrian bridge. We were already committed on Road Street, and then we decided to add the $3 million up front to fund projects on other areas of the city because inflation is rocking along at 10%. And We thought paying an interest rate of 2.5% and getting the projects done now would be cheaper than waiting 4 years until T-Splosh money came in and then having to do projects at a higher cost given inflation. So the catalyst was to take advantage of the free money with Pedestrian Bridge and get ahead of inflation on the other citywide projects.
All right, if there aren't any more questions, can we entertain a motion on the floor to approve this revenue bond, this T-Splosh revenue bond?
Move to approve.
All right, second.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Allen. Those in favor, please state by raising your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. You're not, those against, please raise your hand. Okay. All righty. If the motion carries through the 4 that voted. All right, so it does carry, and so we've approved it.
Madam?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, can I say one other thing? So you all have now authorized Althea and me, Doug Selby, Winston Denmark, and Dan Lee to go forward and put all the paperwork together. We will actually be, Althea and I will be bidding out the bonds to 100 bidders across the state and getting bids back. Whenever we get the lowest bid for the interest rate, and Doug and Winston and Danny Lee have done all the documents, we will come back to you to approve the actual documentation. I want you to know this vote was to authorize us to proceed. We'll have to come back to your, probably the May meeting to have you approve the final document.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. And Ed, thank you for taking out the time from your visit. You do not have to stay around any longer. Thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to item 4B, which is Keller Williams.
We currently have a contract with Keller Williams listing some real estate that's situated between Herschel Road, Global Gateway Connector, and Camp Creek Parkway. It's property that is right near the Jordan property or the Fennerworks. The contract is a year-to-year contract that was first executed back in June 10th, 2021. Like I said, it runs for a year. And I received a letter just on Tuesday from the brokers that represent the property. They brought several buyers to us for the property. The last deal fell through because they found out that half the property was deed restricted. There's approximately 18 acres of city property and there's about 27 acres of private property that's around it. They have both properties listed together. So they represent us and a private entity, the private property owners, and they're just coming to us for to, I guess, renew the listing agreement. It does not expire until May, but I'm bringing it to you now at this time for you to be able to look at it, read it over. I'm bringing it to your attention so that over the next month, you'll have an opportunity to read through it, and I'm here to address any questions that you might have. If you remember, we had a listing of a company that wanted to build 300 units of multifamily there, and they were investing approximately $275,000 per unit. Well, once they got into the due diligence of the project, they found out that the city-owned property, our property that they have listed, was deed restricted, which will not allow multifamily development. So they did not want to continue to try and wait for us to, I guess, remove the restrictions, which is highly unlikely through the airport. So they took the money that they had to invest in a project in College Park, and they went and invested somewhere else in Atlanta. But I was just telling you that because that was to jog your memory so that you understand the property that was listed.
Well, since I wasn't here on the board, where is it approximately? I heard you say Herschel Road.
You know what Wally Park is?
Yeah.
Right across the street from Wally Park, Herschel Road. There's the huge hill. There's a fence that you can go through. Mm-hmm. That's the property. It's all the way over, it's from Herschel Road all the way over the Global Gateway Connector. And Camp Creek is the front. And it goes.
How many acres? What's the acreage?
It's approximately 18 acres of city-owned property, and there's about 27 acres of private property. I'm not here to talk about the private property. They just came to renew the listing for the city property. This property is in Ward 4.
What date does it expire? You don't have a date?
Well, June 10th, and it's a one-year contract, but June 10th, 2021 was when it was actually executed, and that's on the second, the packet of information. What I have for you is I have a cover letter from them, and then I have an 8-page document, which is their current listing agreement.
How long have they been the agents on this property?
1 year.
Just 1 year?
Just 1 year.
And how many agents?
How many agents? It's 2 agents. But of course, Keller Williams Commercial is a big commercial firm. They're the firm that we sold property to in downtown College Park, that they're going to be building an office building. And they're going to be moving their commercial agents from East Point, Georgia to College Park, Georgia. It'll be right across the street almost from the property that the Corner Grill is purchasing.
Artie, how long have they, you said this was a 1-year contract, but I've been on BIDA for a few years, and to my knowledge, they have been representing us for more than 1 year. So what is it?
Well, they represented us through acquiring property for BIDA.
Okay, so this is a different type, okay, this is a different agreement.
They were acquiring property in 6 West area.
Okay, okay. I know that I would like to, in the next month, receive some type of update to see what they have done over the past 12 months as well. So I'm requesting a listing of what they have closed on, or some type of, and then I would like for them to come to the next meeting as well, just in case the board has any questions for them.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions, concerns, comments?
I have concerns. I would like to table it until we see a marketing study and how many potential buyers who were interested, and how did they market the property, and why was Keller Williams Commercial decided to list this property. Because if it's in Ward 4, I don't see any signage. I don't see any. I mean, that property's been there quite a while vacant, so what type of marketing is done, and where is it being marketed?
It's on CoStar for one, which all commercial real estate is listed on CoStar. And then they also have a marketing brochure that I can share with the board also, that they share with developers and those interested in the property.
Okay, that would be good.
But it's been tabled anyway, so I mean,
okay.
It's not going to, you're not taking any action on it, so you can do it next month.
Right, so if you just provide us with that information. Anyone else have anything else that you'd like for next month? Okay, we're gonna move on to number 5, GICC update, and we're glad we were able to get up to that 1 person.
All right, we got to it, but when it's over, we're gonna sneak out the side door because I gotta get back to AKAs.
Okay.
Okay, the year-to-date operating revenues for the convention center is $4.9 million, which is awesome, which means we're coming back. For the arena is almost $1 million, and for the golf course, $234,486. For the operating revenues for the convention center, with 69 cents, 14% for the arena, and 100% for the golf course. Upcoming events: Nicole Adams, who is a citizen here in College Park. We thank her for the AKAs. We have about 8,000 AKAs in the College Park area. This was booked through the DMO. They have 1,640 rooms. Then we have the World Natural Hair Show. If you notice on the report, it says 7,000, but they have changed their expectation. They have sold over 300 booths, and they're expecting about 25,000 people. Wow. And they have 1,200 people for a Friday and a Saturday night. Then we have Metro Development Outlook, and we go into May. During May, we have that's our graduation month. So we have McLaren, Atlanta Technical graduation. Fulton County, we're doing 3 of their graduations from the south side. We're doing those at the arena. Clayton County has 9 graduations, and we're doing those at the convention center. Then we have the U.S. fencing tournament, and then the Dream begins. The Dreams are starting on May 11th, and they'll, their first 3 games, so their season will be kicked off. We actually have Dick's Sporting Goods. They're having an event for the kids. That event will be on the 11th, so they're going to be using the inside and outside. So we'll have food trucks and we'll have activities for the kids. Any questions? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
This looks really good. The future looks bright. President, thank you so much. Thank you, City Manager.
Yes, and let me apologize because I need to depart for her, but what I want to call your attention to is that the police survey is out. It is public. You should have all gotten it electronically. And what I want everybody to note is that because everybody might not have a computer, but everybody has a cell phone. This code here allows you to connect this survey to your phone. So make sure that we're distributing it as far and as wide, and we're asking you all to help be our communication arm for this. So at the end of this, there should be no part of the community that we should think was not able to be impacted or connected to this survey with you all's help. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you, City Manager Advertised, and thank you, Mercedes. Thank you. You ladies have a good time.
Thank you. We're going to play with the AKAs.
Yeah, have a meeting, a big meeting with the AKAs. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. So at this time, we're going to prepare for our economic development reports, and we have quite a lengthy agenda. Quite a few things that we need to discuss on tonight, and so I'm requesting that the economic development reports that we stick with what has been given to the board already in our agenda packet. If there is a special presentation, then we need to get you on the agenda. So at this time, we're going to go on with economic development report, starting, I guess, with, is there a report for Renee?
There's not an economic development report tonight because of the length of the agenda.
Okay, all right, thank you, because that's what I was concerned about. All right, so there's no economic development report from anyone. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to our other issues, which starts with item 7 on your agenda. 7A is our SOP. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedures. Update, we have been working as a board ever since our strategic planning retreat that we had last year to develop some kind of consistency, understanding, standard operating procedures for BIDA. And so in an effort to get that going, at our last meeting, it was determined that we would meet, we would have some of our board members meet with the city manager. And on last Friday, a meeting was held with our city manager, our assistant city manager, our assistant secretary Beasley, board member Cadis, and our vice chair Celissa Jefferson, and myself. And it was a very, very good meeting. And I, at this time, want to just see, do our board members want to share anything regarding that, Ms. Cadis or Dr. Cadis or Ms. Jefferson?
Okay. Yeah, we could just share that we decided to create an SOP guidance based on using Lean Six Sigma, phases. And our first phase is to define. The second phase is to measure, and third is to analyze, fourth is improve, and fifth is verify, and sixth is control. So once we met with the city manager and the assistant city manager, we focused on step 1, and they have action items to come for us to meet again and work towards meeting those goals and objectives for the first phase of the Lean process.
The only thing I would say is that, as our esteemed attorney said, if there's not a problem, why fix it? We don't know what the problems are, so that following Lean Six Sigma will readily identify if there are problems with our current process. And at the end of the day, we'll have it defined at any rate. I think we all know there are some issues, some problems. We mentioned low-hanging fruit last time, electronic transmission of documents and making that easier, and electronic signing of documents. And so I think there's some things underway.
And even since we do have a development group here with us, even making sure that that things are clear when we have developers and you come to us, that you will already know and be aware and not have any surprises. And so just getting things more transparency and just being able to be more user-friendly as a board, because we as a business industrial development authority, we want development in our city. We want to have amazing projects. We want people to be knocking down our door to be able to get in. And so we feel that if we can make this clear and concise, transparent, that we will be able to have that development that our city so much deserves. So that's just basically an update. And so as we get more information, as more things are, we have more meetings planned, and it is our goal that within the next few months that we will actually have some type of booklet or some things on paper, and even things that will be placed on the website. So that will make us even to deal with some of the situations that are not clear at this time. Is that it? Okay, thank you. All right, so item 7B. Oh, are there any questions from any of our board members or any comments? All righty, let's move on to item B, which is the BIDA Awards video. In December, we had an awards video created. We actually had an event recognizing all of our businesses. I feel like a broken record. And at the event, we were not able to get the video to run. There were some technical issues, but it was already determined that since we did not have the budget that we wanted to really celebrate these businesses in our community, we went through the COVID pandemic, and we have businesses that didn't just survive, but they thrived. And we felt as a business industrial development authority, again, because we care about businesses, we want businesses in our community, that we wanted to showcase some of those businesses, the business of the year, the new business of the year, businesses of different corridors, persons who have been in business in our city for over 20 years and making an impact. And so what we did is we had Gerald Walker, who was our person at the time. He made a wonderful video showcasing these businesses. And we decided, even before the video was made, that the video would be shown, that it would be featured, that it would get out, because this also became advertising for those businesses. So it became branding, even more branding for us as a business industrial development authority, but it became a way to get the word out about these businesses that were doing amazing things. And we requested that the awards video, we did not vote. Now I'm starting to realize we probably need to vote on more things. But we requested that this video would be shown at a city council meeting in between the workshop session and the regular meeting. But that has not happened. And I'm aware that sometimes I think it's because the video itself may be 20-something minutes, and sometimes there are time constraints. So I wanted us to bring this back up again so that we could determine what we want to do as a board about the BIDA Awards video. Because one thing I don't like for us to have is say that we're going to do something and we don't do it because it doesn't look good. So if we're going to change from what we said we were going to do, let's make that public and let it make it known and determine what the change is going to be. So I want to hear from the board in terms of what your pleasure is for the BIDA Awards video that was produced by Gerald Walker.
I have a question. Has it run on the either YouTube channel or? It's
on the YouTube channel. It hasn't gotten a lot of views, because you have to look for it. I don't even know if it's had 200 views at this time. And that is why we wanted, again, when we have, in the past, when we've had our Business Industrial Development Awards reception at the end of the year, we've had hundreds of people who have been affiliated with that, and it becomes a big deal. We've had news personalities speak. I think we had Renee Montgomery speak. So it was a big, big thing. And so the businesses in the last 2 years, our businesses have not gotten any of that type of promotion. So having the video on YouTube, and if that's the way we want to go, I'm a team player, I'm going to be fine with it. But I do think that we need to do something more for these businesses, personally.
My comments are, I think that the BIDA award ceremony was, I mean, it was great to pay homage to these businesses that sustained us through the pandemic. You know, a lot of these businesses scaled. We would have thought that maybe they would have folded, but they didn't. So they really served our community very well under limited operations, or, you know, with limited, with constraints. And so I thought that it was imperative for how do we as a city partner with our businesses. We really have to think about this brand partnering and this relationship that we have with our businesses. And we came up with the suggestion to feature them and their services and their impact on the community. And it's so important that as we continue to grow and progress as a city, it shows other cities how we care about our businesses and the relationships that we have with them. And so I felt that that small piece of having that video to be able to be run on a loop to show the services that they're rendering for our community was just a small token of appreciation. That's it. And for it not to have been shown or followed through, I just think that, you know, cooperation and collaboration goes a long way. And when we are establishing our relationships, we have to think about brand partnering at the end of the day. There are a lot of businesses that were you know, commended during that award ceremony, and those businesses have actually propelled our city to be featured on major networks. So when that brand partnering happens, if you are cooperative and you're willing to collaborate with these businesses and have some sort of advertisement done on their behalf, it goes a long way, especially with what they have done for our city coming through the pandemic. So I definitely think that it needs to be shown, it needs to be ran continuously, and there needs to be more of it featured. Anyone else?
Has the video been run on the city television channel?
It has consistently ran on the CCTV channel,
So
as well as it has been posted on YouTube since December. In the past, we have not placed it. It is always after the BIDA dinner been placed on the CCTV, but this is new to place it on the workshop or in a council setting, as well as on the YouTube. I do agree with Madam Chair and I guess Ms. Jefferson, I think you're Vice Chair, I'm not sure anybody's roles now, that we do need to recognize our business, but as an employee, it's a very short period sometimes to be able to play or do anything. In a 20-minute video, I can barely go to the bathroom sometimes. I can barely go get some water. So there's definitely not time for a 20-minute video. What there is time for, though, would be if we want to focus on the businesses, let's focus on the businesses. Let's edit out any of the other things and let's highlight them as we've done in the past with them, with their awards, with the time that they spent in their business. And that may shorten it quite a bit, because I think it may be only a minute video typically that we had in the past. That gives you 5 minutes, maybe 7 for all the awards. That's something that's doable. But a 20-minute video, it is up to the board, but that's a long time.
And what would the cost be to edit it down?
If it's done by staff, but I don't know if we have the staff currently. We only have one person in our communications department, so I don't know.
While I agree with everything that y'all said about how important it is for the city and the businesses to work together, I think that we need to be very realistic about bandwidth and about what's really important right now. And the city is struggling just to make ends meet. So even if you take a staff person, which everyone, it seems like everyone is super understaffed, you're taking them away from, you know, hopefully selling this land and developing 6 West to show a video where the video is running on CCTV. Those are my feelings about it.
Okay, or anybody else, anything else that anyone wants to say on this? So, what are we gonna do? Is there a decision in terms of what we'd like to do about the video? Do you want to just leave it as it is on the YouTube channel and CCTV and no longer try to get it played in between so basically 2 of the things that we requested were done, but the one in terms of it being shown in between a workshop session for a city council meeting. And I mean, we never even suggested even showing it during executive session when we're in executive session of a BIDA meeting, but I think we went straight for the city council meeting, because maybe you have more persons that are watching. So do we want to strip having it played in a city council meeting?
I think that given Tasha's sentiments concerning the length of the video, if the video can be trimmed, but if the video can be trimmed to also include the awards piece as well as featuring the business. So maybe not the full ceremony.
It's not my decision, y'all are the board. I'm just
No,
giving my
I'm
input
just
historically.
saying,
Okay, I
if
was gonna say.
if it is trimmed,
Yeah.
if from what your comments were, if it needs to be trimmed, then I would suggest that trimming focus on the awards piece as well as the features of the winners.
Yeah,
and their businesses.
The 20-minute video is still going to be 15 minutes if you trim it, because basically there's announcing of each awardee before the video piece is shown. Mm-hmm. So you still have 15 minutes. So you still can't, unless you're just going to make it in segments, you know, just have them introduce it. You have maybe a segment, maybe 3 or maybe 5 short 4-minute videos, but like Leslie's saying, you know, getting a staff person to do that, cut it down, you know, we're getting into a whole nother thing. So, okay. I guess basically just.
Yeah, we don't have, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother.
Right out of work session and right into the council.
Right.
And actually the council meeting will start late, about like 2 or 3 minutes, just because it ran over, so.
Okay. And so basically, the purpose of this was an update so that we could decide, you know, again, let's be consistent. This is what we said we were going to do. If we're not going to do it, let's just let it be known.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it possible for it to be advertised on the electronic billboard?
I think that's something you'll have to work with the city manager.
City manager and Mercedes. So basically what we'll do is we'll just, I guess, table this again and talk to, because the city manager's not here tonight. So, okay. We'll talk to the city manager about how we want to go about that. Okay, so then at this point, I'm not going to make this an action because, is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, consensus to table. Okay, so let's move on to item number C, which is BIDA future meeting location and budget for meetings. As we even experiencing today, this space, we used to meet in the GICC, and we had definitely enough space there for any of our attendees and our guests. Today, if we had a joint meeting today, we might have not even had any room in this room for our guests. I spoke with Mercedes Miller this week and asked her about the availability of the GICC, gave her all the different meeting dates that we have, our future meeting dates, and the GICC is available every meeting date except for October. And then we also discussed the budget that, you know, up until December of last year, we had a budget for meetings. and that budget was being used to live stream the meetings. Mercedes, and I don't know, like I said, the city manager is not here right now, but Mercedes informed me that because we are now having, the public is able to attend meetings, that we will not be continuing to live stream. So so basically, when we go back to the GICC, it'll be a different situation. And but we do want to, I know that one of the reasons that we chose to move from the GICC is we were looking at cutting the budget in terms of spending for food. And so basically what Mercedes let me know is that the budget of $1,140 was determined, I guess, under 2 BIDA chairmen before myself. He wanted to make sure that when we had a meeting that all of our guests could have a meal, and that the BIDA board members and the council could have a meal, but then also that our guests would have a meal. And that is how they arrived at the buffet that has been going on. The $1,140 includes all the costs for a meeting at the GICC. I'm sure that the food budget can be cut down. That
Per meeting?
$1,140. That's what we've been spending. Artie, how much were we spending last year per meeting?
Well, we're paying for streaming services, which was between, I think, $600 and $700, something like that, and food, I said 100 to 130 maybe. So we're looking at about $850. I mean, we were paying, just for the streaming services by itself because we weren't eating. But now that we're eating, I'm not sure how much this came up to today. How much was this today?
Less than 200 for food.
About 175, I think.
Yeah, so with the drinks and everything, it's probably $200.
I know that when I was on the DMO board, we spent an awful lot of money for food. When you're at the GICC, you're limited to use proof of the pudding.
That's right.
And that's who you have to use.
Is there a larger
If I can make
here that
if I can make a suggestion, the Conley Rec Center has got a huge area over there.
Yeah.
Or we could find another place in the city. I really like if we could use local restaurants that are here in College Park and use those to provide the food. We're acknowledging their presence, we're helping them out. It's kind of a two-way street, so I don't know if we need to.
I want to respond to Councilman Allen. Basically, this past 4 weeks, I spent time every single week trying to see where we could have this meeting. We looked at the auditorium. We looked at Conley Rec. We looked at all the recreation centers. We looked at every space that we have in the city. The problem with the recreation centers is at the time that the meetings are being held, there are activities going on, and the noise. So the noise level, we were actually told by recreation, not a good idea, okay? City auditorium, the issue was that there's nowhere in that space, and I don't know if this is what Tasha was gonna say, we don't have anywhere to have executive session in the auditorium because that was the first place that we were gonna go. And we were like, oh, wait a second, can we go behind the curtain? But that wouldn't work. So we have to have a space where we can meet as a large group like this, but then when we go in executive session, there needs to be somewhere where our guests can sit comfortably and wait until we come out of executive session. And we don't, this is how the GICC evolved. The other place that we've had BIDA board meetings since I've been on this board is we've had them in council chambers, and then we've gone into the executive conference room when we had executive session. That was before the plexiglass went up in the top, because we would even, the way our council sits is it's 5 of them and they all sit in this spot. But with the BIDA meeting, what we would do is we might have 2 people sitting next to each other, So we could get all of our BIDA board members around that area in the front of the council chambers. So we really kind of, and I had the same idea in mind. Let's give the local businesses an opportunity, and this is what's agreed. We worked on this thing, so.
I'd rather, I'm just talking for myself, I'd rather spend money on marketing and getting out there and trying to sell College Park. I know that, Mercedes gets events coming up at the last minute, and I would hate to have BIDA in there when she could have had another function in there and brought people into College Park and did that. I just think that there's got to be another place in the city, and I know you've probably looked, like you said, but.
What if we reconfigured these tables to allow for more people to be inside here?
Well, the issue is having this meeting, it's the screenings, okay? So if we can't see, you either have, I'm not gonna chair a meeting where I have people sitting behind me, okay? So I need to be able to see who's in front of me. Most of the time so if I'm sitting, we could be here as a board, but then we won't be able to see the screen.
What if we were here and you put chairs here?
People in.
I didn't want to, I wanted to.
Go ahead, Tasha, I'm sorry.
Was actually to answer Leslie's question. So I'm very familiar about the cost of BIDA, being that I served from 2016, 17, all the way until Sabrina took over and I paid the invoices. So although the rooms at the GICC are free because it is owned and operated by the city, we did have to incur the cost of audio-visual services, and that could run, I think, about $800-900 sometimes, depending on the meeting, because not only are we paying for the equipment use, we're also paying for additional staff. For the food, when I first started, we began in 2016-17 doing plated dinners that were $40 per person. So when you're looking at a meeting that is just a regular BIDA meeting, you're typically planning for about 15 to maybe 20 people if you have guests. If you have, let's say, a joint meeting, you're planning for about 25 people, because not only are you feeding mayor and council, the BIDA board, you're also feeding all the staff like myself who are mandatory to come. On top of that, we did switch because there was more residents coming, which we do encourage. When you do the buffet style, it goes down to $25 per person, but the numbers do increase. And there were times when we would have more people coming and we wanted to make sure everybody ate. So cost-wise, it is a heftier cost, although you're not paying for the space. I will say that there were also times when we had to move from the GICC because they did need to rent out space. And when we went to the council chambers, yes, Madam McKenzie is correct. You did have to sit together, but if staff was able to put like the budget tables we did the other day, that would be an easier fix and something that's more viable, because honestly, when we did go, I would have Chef Lowell cater dinners, and you all were able to bring dinners back home, if you remember. Those were maybe like $15 to $20 per person, and that was supporting a local business. So we didn't have to pay for audio visual, we only had to pay for the take-home meals, and that was because of the type of meals that they wanted.
Is the podium, can you move the podium?
The podium is movable.
So you could move the podium and have...
Just chairs.
It can be set up differently, yes.
Because we've had that set up for the budget hearing, so we've been able to fit quite a few people across there.
So it's doable, it just depends on how much y'all want to spend.
What about the room that Ward 4 has used, which is the courtroom?
That works as well, yes, sir.
No, there's nobody in the courtroom.
There's no one in the courtroom at all.
Is there a screening?
Use the courtroom and use this for executive session.
Is there a screening in the courtroom?
I don't know.
There's computer screens. Each of the desks in the courtroom have computer screens because we hold court visually.
People watching can't see the screen, so.
But we're not going to be video. We're not going to be showing.
No, to be able to see the what's on the screen, the people, meaning.
I think even if we made the initial investment into a projector and a screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually have a portable screen.
Okay, but what all of this does is we also have been talking about staff. So let's just say, let's just stay consistent. When we start doing these type of things, we're asking more of staff too. So on one hand, if you have the nice thing, and I'm not saying it has to be the GICC, but with the GICC, when we get there, it's already set up. And there's nothing additional that staff has. The more you're saying now, we're saying bring a projector. So a projector has to be brought in there. And you have to set this up and you have to break it down. So you're requiring more, and we are short-staffed, okay? And we're going to be probably short-staffed very quickly.
Is it possible, I just find that the GICC just, I mean, it's, it just gives a more professional
That's
space
right. That's right.
to our meetings, and it's more executive oriented. But is it possible if we did use the GICC, we just limit our menu and it's reduced to maybe a la carte or first come first serve, and you don't have to have the buffet. You could just do something, you know, minimal.
You gotta use proof of the pudding.
Proof is pretty in terms of catering.
I mean, even for
Very
crackers.
specific.
and
What did
cookies
the bills range for?
It depends on the meeting because that determines the number of people. So like I stated, if it was a buffet, $25, it just depends. If it was a regular meeting, then it's 15 people. If it was a joint meeting, that's at least 25 people, sometimes 40 depending on the meeting.
Yeah, I spoke to Mercedes. Mercedes told me the budget for that, if we wanted to have a buffet for 40 people, includes all audio and visual, it'd be $11.40 a month. That's a full buffet. But if we decide to cut the food, I mean, we don't have to have a full buffet. We also discussed just having the BIDA board members just arrived earlier, and you have your meals just for the board and the council, and you're not providing for everybody that comes. So there are different options, and you could even just have coffee service. You know, you could just have something that's very, very. I'm glad Celissa brought up what you said, because we're not a ching chang organization. We are a bona fide, dignified organization in a city, okay, that is located. I mean, we're like one of the only cities that we're totally unique in terms of having a major airport, a major convention center. And it's embarrassing to have developers come in, and I'm getting a little bit emotional about this, because to me it's embarrassing to have people come in and we can't even find seats for them. We need to always make the best impression. And if you're expecting people to come in here and spend their dollars and invest in our city, we need to make a better impression from the head to the toe, okay? Everything counts. If we come after these developers, and they may come to us with a price point.
Jamel, may I interrupt you, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that you can be perfectly professional and live within your means and show that you're a good steward of the money that you have. We just approved a $10 million bond because we don't have enough money, and I don't feel comfortable paying $1,100 a meeting when we don't have it. I don't know what the budget was like 3 years ago, but I know right now College Park is very much struggling to make ends meet. And I think to be a good steward of College Park, we should live within those means.
And Leslie, I did let you interrupt me, and it's okay. But I am not advocating that we spend a lot of money. I'm advocating that we have a meeting in a space that's conducive for the meeting, and that the meeting shows respect for ourselves, our city, and our guests. And like I said, we're coming at a developer, they may ask us one thing and then we're demanding other things. You know, you have to show yourself, you know, worthy of what you're asking for. So like I said, I'm totally fine with finding a location that, again, that people can sit in, when they're waiting, they can still be there in comfort. And we do have that in the GICC. And we have worked with an $800 a month budget. We can probably do that at the GICC as well. Or we can move into council chambers if that's where we need to be. So those locations, but again, trying to go somewhere where there are other activities and there's noise, and even for this meeting space, we can't even be in here past a certain time. And we've had meetings that have lasted almost to midnight. So I'm just saying that this is not working right here, this particular space. It's up to the board to determine if we want to move into another space. But again, we are requiring a lot of staff, and I mean, and I'm going to speak on top of it for Mr. Breather. Mr. Breather works a regular job, 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever the time is, 8 to 6. I don't know what she does. But then you also have, she had to come in here, set up, go pick up the food, and so now we're going to say also bring a screen as well. I mean, how much are we, you know, let's be considerate. If we treat other people with dignity and respect and put ourselves in their shoes, we will get way more than having an attitude that we're just looking out for ourselves or we're trying to be cheap. And I know what Leslie said. I'm a total believer in being a good steward. I think that we can do this. We can do it at a reasonable rate, but we can also reach a compromise where we have a space that works for everybody.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move the meetings to city council chambers.
Okay. Did you want to say, did you have a question?
I was going to call the question.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone to second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Okay. So at this time, we're going to, I guess we're going to take a motion to leave from regular session and to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing real estate and litigation. Is that it? Okay.
Yes, so moved.
All right. Second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The ayes have it. So at this time, we're going to move into our executive session. We are going to give everybody like a 2-minute break if you need to use the restroom. Our guests